Okay, we will continue for the third session. It will talk about hydrogen business and regional opportunities in Asia. So to moderate this session, I will invite Pak Tata Sutardi from BRIN. Gak ada? Oh udah ada. Iya, tenang Pak Tata, gak usah lari-lari, tenang. Kalau Pak Tata belum siap, saya bagi lagi vouchernya. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, kita berikan aplaus untuk Pak Tata Sutardi. Langsung di depan Pak.
Conduct a discussion regarding to very interesting topic in this afternoon. In today's session, we have topics hydrogen business and regional opportunities in Asean. With us today, there will be 3 speakers represent each country within ASEAN. They are the first, the representative from Malaysia, the second, the representative from Singapore, and the third, the representative from Indonesia, but probably he will talk about bid in Southeast Asian region. I'm going to invite all speakers to come here together with me and start our discussion. The first speaker, I would like to invite Professor Dato Insinyur Dr. Wan Ramli Wan Daud from Malaysia. Please come to the stage. Professor Dato. Professor Dato is founding president of Malaysian Association of Hydrogen Energy, founding director Fuel Cell Institute, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Department of Chemical and Process Engineering, Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Thank you so much for your coming, Professor. And the second speaker, I would like to invite the speaker from Singapore, Gabriel Cho, Vice President Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Association of Singapore. I would like to invite Mr. Gabriel Cho, please. Yes, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. According to the schedule, we will start past 2 p.m. But we start earlier. Is it okay to all participants? We fine, And is it okay if, while waiting other speaker, I'm going to invite you to speak. And for sure, if we start earlier, we have longer time for discussion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think in order to make our discussion become more fruitful and you have longer time to chat with, I'm going to invite Professor Dato Dr. Wan Ramli Wan Daud to start the presentation. The time and podium is now yours, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I was also shocked that the session has been moved forward to 2 o'clock. And that is why the Singapore representative is not here. Anyway, I am willing to present my piece today. First of all, I would like to thank the IFE for inviting me to present what are the business opportunities available in the hydrogen economy in Malaysia as well as in ASEAN. Yeah. So today I'll be speaking about hydrogen energy business opportunities case for Malaysia. Next, please. So I will be talking about, firstly, of course, about the two main drivers of the hydrogen economy, which is the energy security as well as climate change. I will also be talking about the circular economy, the two intertwining circular economy that could determine some of the business opportunities available. That is the hydrogen economy and the decarbonization economy. And then I will be talking about some colors of hydrogen. It's quite interesting. Hydrogen has the colors of the rainbow. It's not LGBTQ, but it is hydrogen, yeah, colors of hydrogen. And I will also be talking about Malaysia green hydrogen journey, how we progressed from 1995 until today, the development of hydrogen energy and technology, as well as the economy today. And next, I will be talking about how Malaysia has grown its own talent. Yeah, all right. Yes, and I will also be talking about the homegrown talent and technology, which is very important for any country to champion the hydrogen economy, because hydrogen economy is quite new and most of the technology are quite new as well and should be able to be developed by countries like Malaysia or Indonesia. And then we'll talk about hydrogen export supply chain, and also lastly, I will talk about the two important technologies in the hydrogen economy that could offer some business opportunities for investors in Malaysia as well as in the ASEAN region. Next, please. I won't talk too much about this because most of us are believers of climate change and energy security. So I'll just focus on the bottom plate. Malaysia to reduce 45% carbon emission by 2030, and based on 2005 level, and 35% by its own initiative and 10% by climate finance, technology transfer and capacity building. And unlike Indonesia, we are committed to net zero by 2050. It's quite ambitious, and I think probably the Indonesian target is much factor. Cost also could be minimized in this region because you could source the raw material from available even in Malaysia, in Sabah, and of course in Indonesia you have a lot more availability of the raw material for manufacturing of both fuel cell and electrolyzers. So those are the business opportunities that could be in Malaysia as well as in Indonesia. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Sorry I took up so much of the time. I thought I have a lot of time. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you so much, Professor Wan Ramli Wandaut. Please give applause for him again, please. Give applause for him. Yeah, it's quite, it's okay, sir. Thank you so much for your interesting presentation. And Mr. Gabriel and Mr. Joko, you are not late, but we start earlier. I'm sorry for that. I'm expecting by we start earlier, we can have more time in the discussion. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the second speaker will be from Singapore, Mr. Gabriel Cho, Vice President, Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Association of Singapore. The times and podium is yours, sir. Give applause, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Gabriel Chu, Vice President from the Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Association of Singapore. And I'm also wearing a second hat. I'm actually General Manager for Maxmater Far East. We have a booth outside later. You can say hi to me at PLN Nusa Daya's booth. Now, first of all, I hope everybody had a good lunch just now. And I want to thank the organizer for this summit and also IFHE for the kind invitation for me to share a little bit about some of the opportunities in Singapore, right? I think Prof. Dato Ramli had a very tough job of trying to condense the opportunities in Malaysia, and I'm sure it will be difficult to condense the opportunities in Indonesia because there are so many opportunities, right? I have the slightly easier job to share about Singapore because we are so small and perhaps we have less opportunities, right? But still, hopefully we can foster more collaboration within ASEAN to strengthen the hydrogen ecosystem in this area. Can we have the next slide? Yep. Okay, so just a very quick rundown of today's agenda. I hope I don't take up too much time as well. I will be talking about 4 main areas that we can see more opportunities within Singapore. Yeah, next please. Yes, so just a very quick introduction about HAFCAS. We call ourselves HAFCAS because the name is a little bit too long. Yeah, so we were established formally in 2019, and one of our main priorities of setting up this in Singapore is to act as a conduit between public and private sector agencies, right? And this is to foster greater collaboration within all the agencies to develop the hydrogen ecosystem in Singapore. Yeah, but, oops, sorry. But as we know, Singapore itself is pretty small. We can't do this alone. So we are also starting to reach out to other members. For example, IFHE in Indonesia. We are also looking to reach out to MAHE in Malaysia. We have also signed MOUs with a lot of like-minded agencies across the world to foster greater collaboration. Yeah. Next, please. Okay, so I'll jump straight into the first area of opportunities in Singapore. Well, Singapore, as we know, we are not well endowed with a lot of land nor resources, natural or renewable. Yeah. So in order to make hydrogen as one of the pillars to decarbonize our energy consumption, or basically just to decarbonize Singapore, naturally, we have to look at supply chain development. Yeah, and of course, we have to look into lower carbon types of hydrogen or its derivatives, because Singapore, as we know, we are not able to produce green hydrogen, at least in the near future. So we do have to look abroad, right? Offshore. So which is why I think our nearest neighbors, Indonesia and Malaysia, would be very, very important partners for us to realize this dream. Yeah. And of course, this is just one of the case studies where we have MOU signed between City Energy and Senoko Energy to explore how to import hydrogen or its derivatives into Singapore, and how we can then also effectively use the hydrogen in various applications within Singapore. Yeah. So I would say that, the number one opportunity would be looking into the supply chain development. Yep. Next, please. Yes. There is power in hydrogen, right? Or if you look at it, hydrogen in power. So power supply, yeah. In Singapore, I'm not sure if most people may know, we are generating our electricity about 95% from LNG. Yeah. So we are already trying to be as clean as possible. And within our city gas, that means the gas used for cooking and other applications, we already are having a 50% blend of hydrogen within it. Yeah. But of course, we try to do more, right? And one of the case studies that I thought would be interesting to share would be our Energy and Market Authority awarding the right to build a third CCGT in Singapore, a hydrogen-ready CCGT. So in the pipeline, we do already have two already building. One will probably come online, I think it's by Keppel in 2026. And then YTL Seraya, that's coming online probably end 27 or 28. And then in 29, we will have a third one. Yeah. And these three projects go to show that, we are serious in wanting to try and decarbonize, the power supply side. Yeah. But I think beyond that, right, I think there are also opportunities to try and work with the Energy Market Authority in Singapore in Pathfinder projects, right? We try to find opportunities for projects or for technology that can more efficiently utilize hydrogen or try to produce hydrogen with least amount of energy, etc., that kind of thing. And not to forget another big industry, that is the data centers, right? So data centers, as we know, they consume a lot of power. And I think there is also this possibility to look into hydrogen being a backup power for data centers. And data centers abound not only within Singapore, I believe, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the rest of Southeast Asia will have a lot of these opportunities coming up. Whether are they coming from proof of concept projects, pilot trials, or small scale ones. Yep. Next slide, please. And then, of course, the first two opportunities or the first 2 points, we are looking at the bigger scale projects. We cannot forget the smaller scale ones, which seed a lot of these dreams that we want to build on. And therefore, last year, we were at the opening of the Center for Hydrogen Innovations in NUS, the National University of Singapore. And this is just one of a few of these platforms that the government is working together with institutes of higher learning to foster greater innovation for the technologies within the hydrogen sector. So this is one of those platforms where we encourage private sector entities to come alongside with universities or polytechnics, to collaborate and perhaps try to unlock future innovations that could help and spur the growth of these hydrogen technologies. And hopefully, like what Prof. Dato Ramli mentioned also, try to bring down the cost of compression, of production, of storage, or what have you not, within the whole ecosystem and the supply chain side. So that hopefully will also drive greater adoption for hydrogen applications. Of course, not only are these platforms important, in Singapore, we also have A-STAR. It is a research agency which actually also works together with industry partners to do R&D on various technologies, right? Hydrogen being one of them. So these are also some of the smaller opportunities, but nice opportunities nonetheless to be part of, the pioneering founders maybe of a nice technology out there. Yep. Next, please. And finally, we come to industrial and mobility applications, right? So applications will be another possible opportunity in Singapore, where we look at how hydrogen can be relevant in decarbonizing or in some of these applications. Industrial applications could come in the form of using hydrogen as a cooling media or as a heating media. It's quite interesting, yeah? And one of the case studies, as you can see on the slide that we have prepared, is actually a trial of a hydrogen fuel cell powered vehicle. And I think this may come at no surprise, because I think the company is called Spectronic. They are a member of HAFCAS, but also I realized that they are also exhibiting today. I think that PLN Sukocadang's booth as well. So it's pretty interesting. Have a look at them. This trial actually goes to show that it is possible to run a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle safely, smoothly, within Singapore roads as well. Yes, and other than this land mobility application, obviously there are also other mobility applications that we're looking at. It could be air, in the form of drones, or sea, in the form of vessels. Yep. And so these are also other opportunities where in ASEAN, in Singapore, where marine is also a big part of our DNA, to look into these opportunities to reduce our carbon footprint. Next, please. Yeah, so in conclusion, Singapore is putting no less effort as compared to other ASEAN neighbors in trying to develop our hydrogen ecosystem and foster greater collaboration within the region. Because as we know, the world is getting more and more uncertain, and I think it is by greater collaboration that we can achieve some of these dreams of decarbonization and reducing our carbon footprint to save our planet. So I hope that, with my little bit of sharing today, it gives a little bit of insight as to what's happening in Singapore. And I'm sure, for us in Singapore, we are also very, very inviting of partners from Indonesia, from Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, where have you, to come in and to work together with us, because, we can only do so much on our own. And we will definitely benefit from all these industry knowledge and sharing, not only in the private sector, but also the public sector side. I think greater collaboration will come in the form of standardizing certain regulations and policies to enable hydrogen being used more freely or easier. Yeah. Just have one more slide. Yes. Yes, so I thank you all for the kind attention. Sorry, can I have the last slide? I just wanted to take like 30 seconds to do a little bit of advertisement. One more slide, please. Yeah, so just to share, for Halfcast, last year, it was our first milestone event. We held Hydrogen Connect conference in Singapore, and this year we're looking to do the same as well. And this year's topic will actually bring more people from the industries within China, right? So for those who may be interested to attend, you can either look for me or get into the website, and you can find more details on this conference, right? So with that, I thank you all.
Give applause, please. Thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel Cho, for your interesting presentation. And we will come into the third or the last presentation in this session. I would like to invite Dr. Aloysius Joko Purwanto to come to the stage. And he is he's from AREA, Economic Research Institute for Asean and East Asia. I think now is your time to give presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator, and to excellent co-speakers with me. And thank you for the organizer for having invited AREA to come to this significant and very innovative forum on hydrogen. So my name is Joko Purwanto. You can call me Joko. I'm coming from the Economic Research Institute for Asean and East Asia, AREA, and we are just located next door in Central Senayan 2. And in fact, we are a think tank in the economic sector, but we have an energy unit, and we host also the Asia Zero Emission Center within AREA. So in this occasion, I would like to show you some results of our research in AREA about hydrogen economy, and in particular how we can or we should create an hydrogen market ecosystem in Southeast Asia. Next, please. Yes, so in fact, I'm trying to start with this kind of question. So how can we trigger hydrogen market ecosystem in Southeast Asia? And I would like to invite you to look at the current situation. In fact, based on the International Energy Agency report, IEA, 4 top single uses of hydrogen today in the world is like almost 1/3 or 33% in the oil refining, ammonia production almost 27%, and then methanol and chemical application 11%, and after that steel production, especially via the direct reduced iron ore. So these are the, in fact, like the principal use of hydrogen, and as we can understand, they are not low carbon hydrogen, but they are gray hydrogen made in principle from steam methane reforming or from coal gasification. So what we are using now is gray hydrogen, and we are not using them as energy or energy carrier, but as feedstock to the industry sectors. So my presentation would like to bring us back one step back to see what happened in ASEAN. We will see that ASEAN has the same historical use pattern of hydrogen. And then also we would like to analyze what kind of potential use in ASEAN in the energy sector and how we can cope with the challenge. Next, please. So I would like to start with these figures in the slide. Next slide, please. Sorry. Yes. So this is historical hydrogen use in ASEAN. Again, apart from the use of hydrogen as bus fuel to fuel hydrogen bus in Sarawak or in several fuel cell electric cars in Jakarta or in other places in ASEAN, practically we don't use hydrogen as energy currently, not in the world but also in ASEAN. So this is the historical figures. In the left side is the use, so that by 2021, we use around 3.7 million metric ton of hydrogen, all as feedstock in industry sector and all is gray hydrogen. So like almost 50% in the ammonia production. So in ASEAN, ammonia is very important feedstock to produce fertilizer, and then 30 to 40% in the refining, in hydrotreating, hydrocracking, as well as to desulfurize crude oil, and then like 15% in methanol industry. That means for the olefin products or methylamine, methyl chloride, as well as acetic acid, formaldehyde, as well as to produce dimethyl ether, biodiesel, or gasoline blending for energy. But the use of those hydrogen in methanol is as feedstock, not as energy. And at the end, we have like 5% in chemical, in also chemical, fatty alcohol, cyclohexane, or hydrogen peroxide. And then very small use in DRI, direct reduced iron, but DRI use in ASEAN has been kind of fluctuative, and Malaysia, Indonesia use DRI system during the last decade, but now it's almost disappeared. Maybe only in Malaysia that still produces DRI. And looking at this, perhaps this brings us to the question, why don't we start creating a hydrogen economy, low carbon hydrogen economy, starting from the existing demand, existing use of hydrogen in the industry sector. Next, please. When we accommodate, or we assume that ASEAN will be able to reach net zero emission by mid of the century, and we continue to use hydrogen as feedstock for the industry, but now we try to change the color from currently gray into green hydrogen as feedstock in the industry sector, then we will see that, in fact, by now to 2050, in the left chart, we can see that the use of hydrogen as feedstock can increase by more than 3 times, from the currently 3.7 million to more than 11 million metric tons. And we can see that the figure change. The use of ammonia, the use of hydrogen as feedstock for ammonia will increase considerably. And what we can see here is that there will be much more demand to produce fuel ammonia, and then like e-fuels like e-methanol or e-kerosene as part of sustainable aviation fuel. And then the part of refinery, the use of hydrogen in refinery in the yellow box will be decreasing, while the blue one, which is for methanol, will be increasing. Again, this will be used to produce e-methanol. And then from the other side, when we change the color from gray hydrogen to blue and then to green, that means decarbonize the hydrogen itself, then we can expect also that the captive production of hydrogen, the proportion will be decreasing. Currently, there is like 85% of captive hydrogen production. That means hydrogen produced in refinery, in ammonia industry, and metal industry. And the rest, 15%, belongs to the hydrogen merchants. But when we assume that net zero emission will be reached, when hydrogen color will be changed from gray to green, then the part of the captive hydrogen production will be decreasing. That means that it will be much more difficult for industry to produce hydrogen themselves. If they need to reduce the carbon intensity of hydrogen, it will become more expensive, and it is the place for kind of specific industry to produce hydrogen or low carbon hydrogen in a specific sector. Next, please. So in area, we also have conducted a study where we'll try to look what will be the role of hydrogen in decarbonization. So in this scenario, we assume that ASEAN countries will be able also to reach carbon neutrality by mid of the century. And here is the figures of the baseline and the carbon neutrality scenario. In the left side is the CO2 emission of the energy-related sectors in the baseline. So we can see that it will increase to almost reaching 5,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide. But in the right side, we see that apart from the positive emission that reach around like 1,700 metric tons of CO2, we have also negative emission produced by the land use and land use change and forestry, and then by direct air capture and carbon sequestration, as well as electricity that produce a negative emission. That means the use of bio-based carbon capture and sequestration. So at the end, by mid of the century, the emission, carbon emission will be neutral. And we see that to arrive in that kind of situation, we need to reduce the positive emission considerably, like by 2/3 of the emission by today, by 2050 in the baseline to 2050 in the carbon neutral scenario. Next, please. And yeah, we also see how the primary energy supply in both situations will change. So in the left side and the right side, we see that the amount of primary energy supply in ASEAN will still be the same, almost 2,000 million ton of oil equivalent by 2060. However, the part of fossil fuel will need to be halved by 2060. And we see that the remaining of the fossil fuel will only be reaching like 1,000 million ton of oil equivalent compared to the baseline, which is 2,000. And we see that the remaining should be replaced by renewable energy, such as hydro, and then geothermal, solar, wind, biomass. But as we can see in the pink and like light red, it's hydrogen and ammonia. And why we consider this as a primary energy supply? Because in this scenario, where we assume that carbon neutrality will be reached by a least cost optimization, then ASEAN countries will need to import ammonia and hydrogen. And that's why they enter into the primary energy supply. Next, please. This is the situation of the carbon neutrality scenario for the power generation. The first thing that we can see is that the need for electricity will be increasing quite a lot by 3,000 terawatt hour. And this should be filled with energy sources from solar, of course, geothermal, hydro, and wind, but also by ammonia and hydrogen. So this is the sources of electricity. And apart from that, we have like co-firing with gas, with hydrogen, and ammonia with coal. By starting from the 2040 or 2050. Next, please. At the end, after seeing those kind of potential use of hydrogen or potential demand, we need to consider as well what will be the challenge. The main challenge of us that we face today is the cost. Here in area, we are conducting a kind of analysis, and we assume that there will be 4 pathways of supplying or providing hydrogen for industrial use. The first path is the blue hydrogen, where industrial facility will produce hydrogen from reforming, and then it will capture CO2 and transport the CO2 into a kind of storage facilities, like the pathway number 1. And the pathway number 2 is the ideal situation, where hydrogen facility will have electrolyzer in place, as well as grid or solar PV installation also in place. But we can imagine that this will need a huge amount of surface. And yeah, in most cases, this won't be feasible. As alternative, we have the third and the fourth pathway. The third one is where industrial facility will be importing hydrogen, transported by pipelines or by trucks, tanks in trucks, and then hydrogen will be produced somewhere else by solar PV and electrolyzers. And the fourth pathway is when industrial facility will have electrolyzers in place, and electricity produced somewhere else from the renewable will be transmitted by transmission line. And in the table in the right side, we see our simulation, area simulation on Indonesia and in Thailand. For the moment, producing hydrogen, 1 kilogram of hydrogen in Indonesia costs about 1.7 US dollar, and in Thailand it is 2.4 USD. But if we switch into blue, then the price will just multiply by 6. In Indonesia, it will reach like, using blue hydrogen or CCS, will be 12.4 USD per kilogram, and in Thailand will be 13.14, not 3, but 13. In the future, we see that blue hydrogen in Indonesia, our estimate, area estimate, in Indonesia will reach 2.2 USD per kilogram, while in Thailand 2.9. For green hydrogen, the cheapest will be producing with all facilities in the hydrogen in the industrial side. It will reach between 2.6 in USD per kilogram in Thailand to around 4 in Indonesia. And that means that still in the future, the blue hydrogen will still be competitive with regard to the low carbon or green hydrogen produced for industrial facilities. So to conclude, maybe just 1 more minute for this. Next slide, please. Where we should start? So based on our observation, we can conclude that, next slide, please. It should start with boosting renewable electricity generation. In our view, it is kind of almost mandatory to have affordable renewable electricity generated in ASEAN regions. And for that, we need to have interesting market and pricing for investors to develop renewable electricity. Of course, we cannot just introduce like a feed-in tariff, but most of all, we need to develop first our transmission lines to be able to accommodate or to absorb electricity production from the renewable energy. And then we need also to look at the possibility of having surplus electricity, curtailment of renewable electricity, and to have kind of matching between the different regions. There are like regions with high possibility of renewable energy, electricity, but low demand, and other regions with high demand, but low capacity of producing renewable power. And then we also need to have hydrogen value chain well established. Let's start with pilot projects that will include private sectors. The last slide, please. So yes, the last slide. In conclusion, also we need to elaborate and to look into the possibility of creating the low carbon hydrogen economy starting from non-energy use. The last slide, please.
Please, the last slide. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we need to also look into the potential of non-energy use, like industrial feedstock, and then also to see the potential of using carbon capture as a blue hydrogen pathway. And this blue hydrogen pathway should also be used as kind of transition into the purely green hydrogen in the future, and not to be trapped into the blue hydrogen economy. And at the end, we need also to explore the possibility of having the combination of different carbon pricing schemes from the voluntary or from the compliance part. I stop here my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pak Joko. Give applause for Pak Joko. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we still have 15 minutes. So I'm going to invite to all participants. Anyone who have question, just raise your hand, mention your name and to whom your question will be pointed to. Is there any question from participant here? Just one question? No? Okay. So the question will become from me. I have a question from maybe question. Maybe each speaker can respond my question. Yeah, from Malaysia, from Singapore also from point of view of Asean, from Pak Joko later, yeah. According to your study or research, yeah, in terms of hydrogen implementation, yeah, in each country, yeah, because I'm thinking that at this moment for trading hydrogen, I'm pretty sure each country already conducted, yeah, the transaction, the selling, yeah, in terms hydrogen for chemicals transaction, yeah. Is there any difference of treatment later when you implement the hydrogen as energy source and hydrogen as the chemical products? I mean, is there any, you know, specific or kind of different treatment for the trading? For example, maybe infrastructure and everything can be considered to the way to go the hydrogen as energy transaction of trading in each country. Maybe from Professor Wan, please.
Yes. You, I'm not sure what your question was. Um, what was you saying that the difference between? Oh, yeah. Yes. No, yeah. Okay. In my talk, I was focusing on the dominant entry-level utilization of hydrogen that's in transportation. That's the most advanced sector because the um, Toyota, for example, and some of the major automotive manufacturers have spent billions of dollars to develop the hydrogen fuel cell vehicle and made it available, and also has been uh, seen many hours of demonstration all over the world. So the most mature technology of the hydrogen application or utilization is the hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, yeah, and that's why the focus was on that. And the first utilization of hydrogen on a large scale would be in the automotive sector. Now, in the energy sector, there is a inertia of the power companies because they have spent billions of dollars on their coal thermal plant and combined cycle gas turbine, which uses fossil fuel. And there is, although some manufacturers of this combined cycle turbine, gas turbine, claim they could use 100% hydrogen at the drop of the hat, but in actual fact, there are a lot of development costs that has to be incurred before you can have hydrogen-ready gas turbine technology. So the what we call stranded investment, yeah. So they have spent billions of dollars, and now the government wants them to transition to hydrogen. It's very difficult to convince them to swap. So the only way to start off before hydrogen-ready power power technologies are available is to do blending, use of hydrogen, 20% hydrogen, for example, in gas turbine, or use of ammonia, green ammonia, to co-fire with coal. Even then, they're still resistant from the utilities because they are not well, originally they are not believers in hydrogen because they still believe in coal technology and so on because of its use in the grid, because their paradigm is a grid with a base load and then just a little bit of peaking here and there, but not not a grid where you have changing power from renewable sources to produce the hydrogen and so on. But that could be avoided by having storage. And the storage shouldn't be a mega battery energy storage system that the utilities want to use. They have the same paradigm as the old paradigm of having mega power station and mega, but in hydrogen and produced from renewable energy could be stabilized by having a storage as well as having batteries on or in individual solar or renewable energy power station. Yeah, that could provide constant power. That could be done, but you don't have to have a major BESS and so on. This is a bit too much. Yeah, I think planners like in IEA or should think of hydrogen as a storage as well, rather than just batteries. So there is a reluctance in terms of the paradigm shift. They need to shift their paradigm towards how to handle renewable energy and then how to actually use hydrogen as the main source for power. I don't think there will be a major disruption if you switch to hydrogen. So to soften the impact, the utility industry has been encouraged to do co-firing. But co-firing is not really very successful yet. Remember co-firing with vegetable oil, for example, yeah? Or with biomass. Has been tried before, but then it was abandoned. So I'm not too certain how co-firing in the power industry will work. Co-firing of hydrogen, green hydrogen, as well as co-firing with green ammonia in coal thermal plant. Yeah? And I was told by a major technology, gas turbine technology manufacturer that hydrogen-ready gas turbine will not be available for the next 5 to 6 years. Yeah. Although some companies claim they could do it from 10% to 100%, but I don't believe them because hydrogen is very reactive, and at high temperature in the gas turbine, it will do, it will destroy the turbine blades if you don't develop a hydrogen-ready turbine blade. It's not just simply changing over to hydrogen. So don't believe some of these gas turbine technology manufacturers. They're just trying to get the tender and then develop the technology later. Sorry for the comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's very clear. Next from you.
Yeah, but if I'm not wrong, it's mainly a question also to understand what could be road bumps in trying to adopt H2 in a greater capacity, right, as an energy source. So I think from the Singaporean perspective, it still, in a way, boils down to cost, the cost of hydrogen, right? But the cost of hydrogen can, of course, be dissected into many contributing aspects. I think one of the contributing aspects is regulations and policies, right? More regulation or more policies, okay, I wouldn't say more policies, right? But more regulation would also mean spending more to get around it. So I would say that it is just a cheeky little call to public sector agencies, not only in Singapore, but, globally or in ASEAN, to be more willing to come to the table with industry partners to understand how to manage the storage or compression or the use of hydrogen so that, the country can benefit from tailored or calculated regulation, and yet still be able to operate these hydrogen equipment safely. Because of course we also have to bear in mind, some of the concerns that are coming from, the people who may be around the hydrogen equipment. These could be residential areas as well, yeah. And then of course, with that, I would imagine that if the jump from, for example, whatever color of hydrogen you have, gray or brown or whatever, and if you would like to jump directly to green hydrogen, then I'm not too sure if that's giving the industry a good chance to develop the technologies. Because you can imagine the jump from such a big gulf, how many out there would be willing to pay that kind of premium for that? Yeah, so I would say, at least from the Singaporean perspective, boils down to cost, and there are few ways to look into it, policies coming from the top, and of course, how do we encourage innovation and development for the technologies to gradually bring down the cost of hydrogen. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gabriel. And Mr. Joko?
Yes, I will be quick. So my interest my presentation will be also like the use of hydrogen in the industry sectors. And what I see as a potential sector in ASEAN is ammonia to produce fertilizer. So once we will be in need to produce much more low carbon fertilizer, then at that time it might be that hydrogen as a supply chain issue or problem or optimization, it might be that the industry of the industrial players of fertilizer will need to move to the area or places where renewable energy are available abundantly. For example, in Indonesia, perhaps like the factory of fertilizer will need to move to Papua or to Nusa Tenggara, and from there they can transport hydrogen at its safest and cheapest forms, like fertilizer itself and ammonia. I think that kind of supply chain changes will need to happen in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much to all speakers, and give applause for them to our speaker, please. Okay, I think my last question will end our discussion today. Again, my appreciation to all speakers. Thank you so much for your kind presentation. And I will give the microphone back to the MC.
Oke, terima kasih. Kita kasih tepuk tangan sekali lagi Bapak Ibu. Thank you for Pak Tata being moderator for this third session, and of course all the speakers at this session. Just like before, I will share voucher from Rumah Sakit Premier Jatinegara. Yeah. Not for all the speaker and moderator, of course, to all participants that still here. Silakan, jangan sampai lupa plakatnya. Baik.